these invisible wounds that people can't see. They're like, well, you didn't get shot, so you should be okay. You're good, right? And yeah, no, not so much.
Doesn't work like that.
You know, we're not counselors, we're not therapists, but we do have our experiences to offer. And in the case of Columbine, we also have the gift of time. 19 years has passed for us, and so we've had a long time to kind of figure things out or think about things, consider things, reflect on the process. And every time another shooting happens, essentially we're a little bit re-traumatized, re-victimized. But I think that the thing that we feel the most is helplessness. So that was our opportunity to finally take some control and give back in a way, that really only survivors can. We support survivors in ways that only other survivors can understand. So the Rebels Project does quite a few things for mass trauma survivors. One is that we hold monthly support meetings here in Colorado so people can actually get the validation and talk about their feelings around people who understand and without judgment.
Healing through common experience in a one sentence. So there's the Rebels Project meetings. We host an annual survivor gathering, and the nonprofit has been able to supply grants for 100% of participants to fly out here, stay out here, come to the Columbine Memorial.
Our entire leadership team is made up of survivors of mass trauma.
I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not talking about Brianna anymore. I'm going to ruin my life. What else we got? What else we got floating around down here? A lot of prom. I just remember that feels like it was the last normal day of my life. I think that was the last normal Zach, because then the next day I was hungover and we had to return our tuxedos. And the day after that it was kind of a blur, and then it was the worst Tuesday ever.
Yeah.
I feel like prom always stands out. That's probably why I saved so much prom, because the person in those prom pictures isn't the person that's sitting here. He never would be. When you think of a victim, you think of someone huddled up in a corner, scared, whereas a survivor is someone who's come through and they're on the other side. Doesn't mean they're completely on the other side. I'm a survivor, but doesn't mean I'm not in therapy right now. It's been a long month, so.
So it took me about 9 years before I really even identified as a survivor. I think it's really hard for people to put their own experience into something that makes sense to them.
When I watch these smart, beautiful, eloquent kids from Parkland talk on TV,
Just a mental health issue. He wouldn't have harmed them.
I'm like, wow, you guys are out there and you're fighting and you're doing, that's the shape your grief is taking. But I also can't help but think, oh my God, I know that look of shock and terror that you just carry with you constantly.
I just remember wanting to be, the media was everywhere, and just as I imagine, and I've heard that it is in Parkland too, but I just wanted them to leave us alone, to go back to normal, to do our thing. I think that something that's neglected is what happens after the cameras go away. People don't look at what it's like in the years afterward. So 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You've got these big mile marker anniversaries, if you will, but what are the people doing now? How are they feeling now? And society has those pressures of, you should be over it. Why aren't you over it yet?
It's been 19 years since I've gone through this, and I guess people don't really ask me if it still hurts. I don't think they take into consideration that this is something that I've been going through for a very long time, and it's going to hurt at 50 years or 40 years just as bad as it does, just as bad as it did the first year. So I have a 12-year-old daughter, so when she started preschool, I started having massive panic attacks, like horrible. The first time I dropped her off at school, I almost collapsed. The doctor was like, "Have you ever had a panic attack?" I was like, "No, I don't know what that is." And he's like, "You're having a panic attack." And he's like, "Is there anything that could have triggered that?" And so I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, I'm a Columbine survivor, and I just dropped my kid off at school for the first time." And he was like, "Yep, you have PTSD." With Parkland, with all the mass traumas that have happened, we need more services. We need more mental health care services. So my job is to get Heather and the money, the money to fund all of these and to connect more survivors. It's helped me a lot on my own journey, especially when I get to go connect with other survivors. And working with just the various communities has helped me heal.
So my name is Chelsea Sobolik, and I survived the Aurora Theater shooting July 20th, 2012.
My name's Sherry Lawson, and I survived the Washington Navy Yard shooting September 2013.
I don't know what people think when it's like, yeah, a bunch of shooting survivors are getting together or whatever. Like, it's more than that. It is a friendship. We go to concerts together. We celebrate each other's birthdays. Fostering friendships is a huge part of the healing process. And that's what the Rebels Project tries to do, because we know what that feels like, to find people that really understand.
Heather and I will go grocery shopping together, and I don't know if she's talked about this because it's a trigger for me too. Like, it's hard for me to be in a grocery store because I can't see around the rows of food, and it reminds me of being in my building, and which was a cube farm. And the shooting completely derailed my life. There was one point where I just wanted to check out. I was suicidal, and I tell people that. And so being a part of the Rebels Project and seeing people who had, been through what I've been through, and then, they're 2 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out, and they're saying, it does get better. It's not gonna always be this way. It is gonna take some work, and we're here to support you through that.
I never thought I would go back to school. I told myself that all the time. Like, I'll never go back, I'll never go back. It was just the idea of it was so triggering to me, being in an enclosed space with a lot of people. I've learned that compassion really does outweigh violence and hate and things like that. So.
And you're graduating.
And I'm graduating in May, yeah, with my bachelor's degree. And I'm excited I feel like I've learned that something like this can set you on a new path. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to what happens to you, with little things and bigger things in life.